Alright, audio working or not? Alright, audio working or not? Sounds like it. That's good. Yeah. Slash game. Just chatting. Thank you. Stream game has been updated to just chatting. Nice. Why is that? Oh, that's because of the light. Let's shift that out from here. Let's get that out from under there and try that. Try that. Much better. Okay. Alright, so first things first. Hey Dave, how you going, bud? Yeah, I'm good, mate. Just been working too much, Dave. We're going to do some fly fishing tonight, Dave. As promised, I told everyone we were going to do a lot more fly fishing. So, what I'm going to do, Famo, I'm going to plonk that down there so I can read chat. Okay. Oh, thanks, Dave. Yeah, I've just been flat out, man. You know, I work to make a living and I live stream to, you know, enjoy myself. So, what bird's that, or is it a bat? All right, fam. All right, famo. So what I'm going to do is, when I start off live streaming, welcome everyone. Welcome to the live stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a lure with a rattle in it. If there's any fish out there, I want to bring them to us. Now, what's happening is, whenever you go fishing, you've always got to check the direction of the water. The easiest way to do that is just to look at the surface of the water. So what's happened is, previously the tide was coming in. Now it's just starting to go out, but it's meant to be coming in about midnight. So while everyone else is in bed, we'll just be out here fishing. Okay, it's the best time to go, because if you catch one person tells 100 people. Right. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm waiting for this line to stop moving. Okay, when this line stops moving, that means the lure is on the bottom. So I'm going to do a YouTube video on this system, and I'll wait for that to come out before I promote it. Right, so that's still sinking. So as you can see, by the time taken to get the lure to the bottom, okay, it is fairly deep here, which is exactly what we want, but we need the tide coming in, not going out. So, what have you been thinking of the home reno streams, Dave? Do you enjoy them, or? And what I'm doing is I'm bringing this bibbed minnow in along the bottom. Right, so if there are any fish in the area, they'll hear the rattle. And that's weed, I think. Let's have a look. Oh, I got tangled up, silly bugger. They'll hear the rattle and then they'll go to it. So just hang on a second. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to let everyone know in the Discord that we're live. Right, and then we'll carry on with the stream. Oh. Just give me a second. Hey Diesel Defects, how are you, bud? Berserk, how are you, mate? What's going on, buddy? Sorry if I didn't see your message straight away. I was just in the Discord letting everyone know what we were doing. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll start off with some hard-bodied lures, then we'll go to soft plastics, and then from there we'll go to the fly gear. So we're going to start off the first half of the stream on Twitch, and then we're going to go to YouTube, fam. Oh. Oh, Dave, that's what the streams are there for, bud. The streams are there for people to ask questions, mate, you know. So I've managed to get a few of the rooms ready. I just finished 2 off today for tomorrow. And then I've got a few more this way. Yeah, not too bad, Berserk. Hey, High Grade, how are you, bud? How's the new fishing gear going, mate? All right, so now the tide's coming in again, fam, which is exactly what we want. Yeah, I couldn't figure out what that noise was before, and then I remembered when you've got the LED lights underneath the phone, it affects it somehow. Oh, nice one, Bio High Grade. That's what it's about, mate. We're fishing a river tonight, and what we're doing is just going to use lures. I'm not going to use baits. It's a beautiful still night. We've had a very good season with the winter, so it's going to be a good season this year, you know. So always remember, with snapper by a high grade, use the lightest amount of lead possible so that when you cast out your bait, it flutters down in the current naturally, okay? Thanks to everyone that's tuned into the stream so early. Yeah, if you're going to fish from mulloway and rivers, you've got to get right down on the bottom. So it doesn't matter whether you use lures or fly gear or whatever. Now, is that sinking or is that a fish? Don't tell me it's got it on the drop. Now I've got line peeling off the reel, fam. Let's have a look. No. Don't use snap swivels, bud, because it'll affect the action of your soft plastics terribly, and also it doesn't have a natural access point. Best thing for you to do is don't use any barrel swivel derivatives or snap swivels or anything like that. Just use crane swivels, okay? And what you do is, with your soft plastics, if you're going to fish for snapper with your soft plastics, leave yourself a 50 centimetre leader, right? And use a loop knot on the end of it, and that will improve the action of your soft plastic no end and increase your fish catch. And with the FG knot, mate, the FG knot's too difficult, bud. Just do a bimini braid knot and you're done. So yeah, I think the FG knot's just a waste of time myself. I don't like using it at all, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of people that get off on it in social media and doing the knot and all the rest of it. I've been using the same knot to join braid to monofilament for about, oh, what is it, 35 years. Never had a headache with it. And it's the only way to join your braid to your monofilament properly, if you know what I mean. So, you know, FG knot looks good and all the rest of it, and all the gurus get into it. Wouldn't waste my time with it, bud. You're welcome, mate. Biggest problem with the snap swivel is if you're using 1/16, 3/16 and 3 ounce light weights and that sort of stuff, right? That's right on the bottom. Your swivel's probably going to weigh as much as the gear that you're using, bud. And all that'll happen is there, when you're retrieving it, you'll be working the swivel rather than the lures. So with your fishing and that sort of stuff, you know, less is more. So what I'll do, let me show you this. Okay, so see this? That's 30-pound line, right? So what I've got here by high grade is just a loop knot to the lure, right? And then I've got about, in this case, 60 centimetres, because the Mulloway early season are a bit bigger, and just a very, very small crane swivel. I've caught plenty of fish in the, you know, 6 to 10 kilo range on those size snap swivels. And what it is, a lot of people tend to use too heavier terminal tackle, right? The smaller the terminal tackle you've got, the less chance you've got of line twist, okay? So that's why you've got to do what's right, mate. And then the good thing about that is, you know, good thing about that is, if you do get a fairly deep-bodied fish like a snapper, and you've got 50 centimetres of monofilament on there by a high grade, it'll rub against the monofilament rather than the braid, so you'll have more chance of landing a fish, you know. Oh, what'd you do over there? A bit of surfing, bit of sightseeing, berserk. Bit of a powwow with the local chieftain, with the old 420 tribe. That's a big mosquito. Oh, it's just basics. I've been doing that same setup for flipping years, mate. You know, when I worked in the tackle trade in Perth, I went through quite a few different knots and, you know, all sorts of things, mate. Tried them all and all the rest of it. Just figured out what worked and just stuck with it from there, you know. So a lot of trial and error. And I used to take my job fairly seriously though, so I made sure that I used the stuff in the store before I recommended it. Yeah, so that's just one of those things, mate. And this is the biggest problem nowadays with your social media and everything. You've got all these gurus that go on and go, yeah, I've got this great knot. Yeah, it's just slightly different to one that's been around for 70 years, you know. So, and I mean, every time I show everyone a knot, I always mention the original person that introduced the knot. Oh, come on. So the Centaur knot, for example, Dick Lewis introduced that at the 1974 Brisbane Boat Show. And I make sure I mention that. Now, this is interesting, fam. Our lure's being taken with the current, right? So the current's going out again. And these are important things to watch for when you fish, okay? Oh, okay, cool. What's your most memorable thing about the trip, berserk? What's the one thing that really sticks out in your mind? So what I've done now, okay, 2 casts ago the river was flowing this way, right, which means the tide's coming in. Now, judging by the salt that's on top of the water, it's going out again, okay? So what I've got to do instead of casting to my left, I've got to cast to my right. Because the thing is, people, when you fish, you always cast upstream. Because when you cast upstream and you retrieve, your lure will go to the bottom. If you cast downstream and retrieve it upstream, it always goes to the surface, you know. So you don't get a chance to fish the bottom, if you know where I'm coming from. What I'll do is, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cast slightly to the right, judging by the way the rate of water is flowing. I don't have to cast too far, probably about 30 degrees this way. Right, and what will happen is, because I've cast to the right, and because the lure's weighted, it'll drop at an angle, okay, and it'll start in the bottom once it hits there. Hey there, Diesel Defects. What happened in Colorado, bud? What's going on in Colorado? Denver? So see how now the lure's on the bottom? It's because I've cast upstream. Couple of hikers on a trail in the mountains saw something 20 feet long scaling a cliff, and they've got a picture of it. Have they got a clear picture, or it's not AI, is it, mate? That's the other thing nowadays with AI. You've got to ask yourself, don't you? Not going to catch any mull away with the way this tide's going. It's got to come in. What's a Borobuda? When you say 20 foot long, a snake, a big cat, Bigfoot. Oh, okay, mate. Well, that's good. What's the is it a bit different over there, Berserk? Are the people good? A lot of, so Indonesia's Muslim, isn't it? Now, people, what's happened is, because I've actually cast upstream, like in the opposite direction of the way the water's flowing, my lure's actually hit the bottom. So now I can actually fish it properly. And most of the fish will be facing upstream anyway. Big and fast. Mate, what's 20 foot long that's big and fast, bud? Did it have fur? Did it have scales? Did it have feathers? Hey, that was a hit. Weird. Come on. Beautiful cast. Anybody got any idea of what it was, Defects? Yeah, I've heard that it's on the lower end of the third world. Mate, the other thing is too, Berserk, that's because they've got such a high population. If Australia gets a high population, we'll have the same problem here, bud, you know. I mean, look at all the cost of living and, you know, rents and all the rest of it, mate. Homeless numbers are through the roof. You know what I mean? The government's doing absolutely nothing to help people. So, you know, okay, so it's starting to swirl in here, which is good. The other thing is too, Famo, a really good thing to do, right, too, okay, is, and this is another technique you can do. If you've got a hard-bodied lure and you're fishing a river, right, So what you do is you let it sink, retrieve it really slowly on the bottom, like painstakingly slowly, you know. So and when I say painstakingly slowly, I mean literally painstakingly slowly. What I'm doing here, so I don't know whether you can see this, but see the rod tip, right? And this is why I use the yellow braids so you can see at night. But see the rod tip? I don't know whether you can see that. Let's get in a bit closer, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to make the rod tip pulse. Watch. Okay, see how it's just the rod tip that's pulsing? I've got a nice straight line. See that there? Right, and it's just the top rod tip and probably the first two guides that are working. So all that's happening is that lure is just grubbing along the bottom nose first, kicking up dirt. Looks like a fish that's burrowing on the bottom, and if there is a fish out there that's in the area, this is a really good technique for flathead. Big flathead, absolutely love this. There's not too many places you can get big flathead in WA, bud. Now see how it's just bouncing along the bottom? See how the rod tip's just working like that? See, beautiful, look at this. And what's going to happen is we're getting into the shallow water because there's more of an action, and that worked really well, and it tracks fairly straight as well, you know. Tons of Egyptian hieroglyphics in the Rocky Mountains, really? Yeah, but the thing is, mate, you would think in today's day and age of drones and all the rest of it and cameras, they'd be able to, you know, get one of them up on one of those, wouldn't you? 18,000 steps today, yeah. Do they have any description of it, man? Or, oh, rightio. I don't know whether you remember that night we were fishing further down, and I took out that big 13-centimetre gold bomber lure and started throwing it around like a mad person. And then I thought we had a bump, so I swapped over to the soft plastic, and I hooked that fish that I fought for about 15 minutes. Then it spat the hooks. Where I'm fishing here, with the bottom that's here, this is about the only chance I got a place of landing a fish in this area, right? Without the worry of structure and all the rest of it. Now, I don't know whether you just heard that, but something just got smashed on the surface over there, and it was like this. Hang on. Like a whoomp. That's usually a croaker. So, no, it's the dolphin. There it is. So they're coming in with a high tide. That's a good sign. I hope the little bugger doesn't spray me with water this time. Here it comes. Dolores the dolphin. So what the dolphins do is they'll herd fish from the ocean into the river systems. Then they work as a team, and they like hunt the fish. I think they need about 150 to 180 herring a day to survive. I'm not going to cast out while the dolphins are here in case there's a little baby dolphin one out. You know? Come on, bud. One night we were fishing in the same spot, and the dolphin came in about 3 foot from the shore chasing a fish, and as it spun round it sprayed me in water. Take that. Must have thought I needed a wash, you know, but I'm not going to ruin a good month just to keep the dolphin happy. Hey, Berserk, what's a few rules in Indonesia as a tourist you've got to be wary of, bud? So what's What's a few? Hey, Loey, how are you, bud? Good to see you, mate. They found a 20-foot giant creature in Colorado, Loey. They did that in Australia. It'd be carrying a 6-pack. Like I said, people, we're going to start the stream and do the first couple of hours on Twitch, and then what we're going to do is we're going to swap over to YouTube. Last 3 months, YouTube has gained massive traction with live streaming. When we first started on YouTube, we only had about 1,000 subscribers. Now that we're up to about 5,360 odd. So thank you very much for your support. And hopefully, you know, the picture on YouTube is unbelievable, fam. You know, they've had 4K and, you know, 360 degrees for a while. You know what I mean? Oh, it would be, mate. You'd see this 20-foot creature, it'd stop and look at you, crack open a can and scull it, crush the can on its forehead, and then scale a 600-foot high mountain, you know? A health check form. So do you need to get that certified by a physician, Berserk, or it's just a self-check one? On time. I just felt a bit of a bump then, fam. Do they still have cases of malaria over there, Berserk, or? All right, I'll get the fly rod out in a minute, fam. What I'm going to do, right, that's the weed, okay. What I'm going to do, famo, is that's good that there's weed out there. I'm actually going to cast this out this way, right. I'm going to leave the bail arm open. Sometimes fish will hit it with the bail arm open, right. So, it's an electronic self-declaration, okay. Now, let me show you what to look for when you're fishing river spots. So watch this, famo. I'll get you down here. Right, so check this out, okay? Thanks to the 32 viewers. Now, see in here? Now see, can you see how this water's swirling? Right, see how it's swirling? That's what you want, okay? So what's happening is, normally when the water swirls, that's where your high tide and your salt and your fresh water's met with the tides, and it's starting to mix. Now see this here, because the water's going out, see how my line's going from right to left? Right, so all in here, it's all starting to mix, which is good, okay? So what I'm going to do is, I'm thinking that the lure's still on the bottom, right? But what we'll do is we'll cast it out again and see how we go, okay? Let me just turn that off. Right. Oh, tell you what, Loey, there's some nasty stuff that people pick up, mate. Poof. Excuse me. But, all right, we're at full frame rate, which is good. Means okay, so even though we cast over there, right, our lure has ended up about 30 feet to the left with the tide. Now, remember what I said to you about watching the surface? The swirl's gone now, right? and it's going from left to right. So now we've got to change the direction that we cast. So it's quite a simple process. If your water's flowing towards you, cast towards the water where it's flowing from, okay, if it's on this side. So if it's flowing past you on that side, don't cast down, because the moment you turn your bar arm over, it'll lift your bait, it'll lift your lure, lift your fly, lift your soft plastics. And correspondingly, if the water's flowing towards me from right to left, I cast upwards, upstream, okay? And then that way what will happen is your lure and your soft plastic will work its way to the bottom. You know, it's just little simple things like that that can change your fishing, you know. And if you fish too shallow or fish too quick, limits your catch rate as well. You sort of learn that from freshwater fishing. All right, so beautiful. I think the other thing is too, people, as Loie's saying, you'd have to be a fool to travel if you're sick. It's like these people that still send their kids off to, you know, school when they're sick, or even if they're sick and they go into work. You know, unless you're working for yourself, I mean, it can affect others, you know what I mean? So, time on the side. So what I'm going to do is make a bit of noise with the rattling lure and hope that it comes in. Okay, I don't care if I don't catch anything on the rattling lure. So yeah, I'm trying to plan a big fishing trip next year again, people, because I'm so burnt out, I'm so drained, and I think I've deserved one, you know. Boom shakalaka, there we go. Time on my side. The thing is too, when you're river fishing like this, you'll sit here for hours on end, right? Casting, retrieving, nothing. And then out of nowhere, boom, your rod just about gets ripped out of your hands. That's what you've got to be ready for, you know? So, getting some beautiful airtime with this cast. Oh, so what's everyone else? Oh, 15% of cases. Okay, man. "20-foot creature leaping a mountain." Interesting. While the dolphins are here, I don't think we're going to get much anyway. Okay. Now, is the audio and the screen clear, fam? Man, this is so good for my stress. Just casting a lure out. I don't care if I don't catch anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to do a few soft plastics with some Berkeley gulps. We're going to use 3/16 ounce heads for a little bit of distance. Going to do a slightly different configuration on my soft plastic. And then the next time we head down south and we do a live stream, I'm going to show you how to try and catch multiple fish at once with a few little specialist techniques that I've developed over the years. And It's nothing special or scientific or anything, people. You just got to try and experiment and work through your failures until you figure something out that works, you know. What's 710 diesel defects? Rightio. Let's get a bit of distance now. We'll do a... Cheeseburger, how are you, bud? Does everybody remember the cheeseburger skit from Saturday Night Live with James Belushi? It's at a Russian cafe. They can't speak English, so someone will order something and they go, cheeseburger, cheeseburger. Oh, right, okay, diesel defects. I guess that's something to look forward to, bud. So, all these little idiosyncrasies, mate, that people have, you know. Rightio, we've got some weed on the lure. That's good. It means we're right on the bottom. Excellent. So your West Coast diesel defects are Central American time, bud. Time on my side. What a beautiful night. There's a weak easterly. The river's like glass. It's so flat and calm. Oh, I'm not berserk. Yeah, I've got no interest to go on the East Coast, bud. So, yeah. I mean, I went a few years ago, but I'll probably do it when I retire, I think. And when I start streaming full time, because I'll actually have time to do it. I want to write a couple of books, berserk. So I need to do the research on that to write the book, if you know what I mean. So I'd like to travel around Australia, collate all the information, and then when I come back, summarise it, you know. All right, I reckon 5 more casts like this, and then we'll go the Oz soft lackeys. So, these Shimano Zodiac rods are pretty good. Yeah, so yeah, I got nothing on the east coast of any interest, berserk. So, being a West Aussie, mate, I'll just head north. You know, I think once I retire, I might even move north. See how we go. The Australian IRL scene is going to get overrun with fishing live streamers eventually out of Queensland and all that sort of stuff too, people, because Queensland's like the Florida of Australia. And, you know, so by the end of the year, there'll probably be another 2 or 3 fishing live streamers that are going to start. Then by the end of next year, there'll be another 5 or 10. So it's going to be pretty hot competition. Hey Dave, both actually, Dave. So both, mate. See, that's the thing. I I've written for a book in America back in, was it 12 or 11? Oh, I can't remember. Right, but yeah, so there aren't many books where you can go and read it and do everything like bait fishing, bait presentation, lures, soft plastics and fly, if you know what I mean. So with the knowledge that I've built up over the years, I can do that. So if you were a fly fisher, you could read the book and go, okay, so these are the flies that are used to catch fish on that particular day, you know. So yeah, I did get asked to write for another one, but because of work commitments, I missed the cutoff. But there's another book that's going to be coming out again probably next year, so I'll do a submission for that. So you're from Melbourne, Berserk. Oh, nice one, bud. You're not a Collingwood supporter, are you? Yeah, so with that, Dave, you know, a lot of the stuff that I do on live stream, you know, I sort of record the conditions, where I'm fishing, time I'm fishing, barometric pressure, everything, you know. You've got to be on top of it, you know what I mean? And then what I do is I just sort of tend to use the information later. I've got a journal knocking around somewhere that I kept from when I was about 17 to about 25 of all the trout that I caught. Do you think I can find the bloody thing? Unreal. I think once I hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, I might go across full time, I think. But anyway, we'll see what happens. There's going to be a lot of water under the bridge between now and then, I'll give you the tip. Oh, come on. Rightio, last cast with a hard body, and then we'll hit the soft plastics. Brisbane's been getting like mid-30s already, haven't they, Berserk? Oh. So what bumped that? Hmm. 32 to 34. Wow, it's only September. Jeepers. Rightio, Thermo. All right, let's muck around with some soft plastics now. Yeah, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to fish the bottom. So as you can see here, with this. See the wispy little weed? Right, that way we know that the lure's been fishing on the bottom, see? Okay, so this is a hard-bodied lure. They got made, or got painted for me and made for me by, there we go, another Twitch streamer over east in Victoria. I'll wait till I do a bit more freshwater fishing, then I'll give them a promoting. Yeah, don't know, Cheeseburger. Sometimes early season, look, what happens is, people, early season, a lot of your fish come in from the ocean to spawn, right? Because mulloway spawn in rivers, they don't spawn in the ocean. And that's temperature, as in water temperature, right? And conditions activated, right? And also, obviously, as the like atmospheric temperature increases, so does the temperature of the water, right? So early season, a lot of times, if they're in the, you know, Luther Vandross mode, as I call it, they'll bump lures, bump lines, and all the rest of the stuff. And then what it does is it's like a territorial bump because they're in that spawning mode. And then in saying that, though, in Perth at the moment, they're catching a lot of mulloway if you know where to look. And a few friends of mine that have been fishing the river for years, they've been turning up in the normal spots, and they're nice, clean fish because of all the water we're getting, you know. So, yeah, I might even head to Perth with the kayak and do a mulloway session in the Swan River. I miss that fishing. The most mulloway I got in the Swan River in one night back in the 90s was 7. I think it was 7, I can't remember. But yeah, from like, you know, from about this big to about this big. So yeah, all good fun. Most important thing is to put them back, people. That's the most important thing. Not personal bests and photos and all that garbage. You got to put them back so they can grow to come back another day. All right, so people, what we might do is, well, not might, this is what we're going to do. Let's just get some soft plastics going. What I might do is I might, I think I'll use this one. I don't think this is going to be heavy enough to fish effectively in these conditions. When you've got a change of tide on the way, you do have a lot more water movement, so you have to go to like heavier jig heads. But once the tide changes and the water goes still, you can go back to the lighter ones. So when you go fishing and that sort of stuff, always pays you to take a variety of different weighted jig heads, different colours and different sizes and profiles of soft plastics, because as the conditions change, then you're able to change your fishing tackle to manage the conditions. So for example, Harry, how are you, bud? Welcome to the stream. So, for example, this is a 1/16 ounce jig head, right, with a little 3-inch soft plastic tail on it. This would be good to fish at the change of tide, right? See that there? That'd be good to fish at the change of tide. But while the tide's changing, you probably wouldn't even get anywhere near the bottom. So you sort of have to go to a 3/16. If that doesn't work, you go to a 1/8 ounce, you know. So how are you, Harry? All the way from Singapore, hey? There you go. All right, just let me just... Yeah, that's not really casting that far. And it's rifling past me left to right. So we've got to put a heavier jig head on. Yeah, it's just common sense, Cheeseburger, you know. So, I mean, it's like when people say, what's your favourite lure? I don't have a favourite lure because the term favourite, right, sort of sounds like you're trying to stamp your sort of view on things, which I'm not about. Right, so I'm not even reaching bottom there, people. Right, yep, so this is not heavy enough. I'm just going to wind that in under tension so I don't get any loops on my braid. Right, and what we're going to do is Yeah, Harry. I don't fish with baits in the river anymore, mate. I just challenge myself with soft plastics and lures. Baits are pretty easy. I mean, you'll always catch something on baits. The good thing about using lures is it comes down to a lot more skill. And I mean, prior to last season, we'd caught and released about 70 mulloway live on stream. Lowy came down from Perth and I took him to the spot where we go fishing, and he got the biggest mulloway of the season. It was well over 50 centimetres from that spot. And yeah, so all good fun, you know. And yeah, I haven't used a bait in a river for years. I don't know. Oh God, I don't care to put a time frame on it, you know. And yeah, we've had some good fishing at night with lures. We've had some disasters, but that's fishing, isn't it, people? You never know what's going to happen, fam. You never know. You've just got to start casting away and hope for the best, you know what I mean? Right, I might put this upright on here. Thank you very much to the 40 people that have tuned in. Okay, greatly appreciated. A lot of people are thinking we're still doing reruns, which is not the case, you know. Just excuse me for a second, fam. Last time I went close to the river like this, a flippin' dolphin came up and sprayed me with water. Okay, so the tide's starting to come in. We've got a good swell in this spot. This is why I fish it. It's like the Swan River in Perth. If you know where to look, right? Oh, did you, Harry? Oh, well. Go out and buy another two at the shops, bud. That's what you got to do. When you like a lure, Harry, buy about 4 of them. Use one, put 3 away, because you don't know whether they stop making them and all the rest of the stuff, you know. So, but that's your gig, mate. I got that many lures, I don't know what to do with them. So yeah, in the Swan River in Perth, there's certain spots at certain times of the tide where you'll swell, right? And a lot of fish hang out in those spots, you know. And always try and fish the edge of dirty water and clean water, so that dirty water's fresh water and the clean water's salt water. Okay, and a lot of times a lot of fish will just sit in the salt and swim up with the fresh, and as the bait fish get pushed into the salt, they just snaffle them, you know. All right, let me just get this sorted. Oh, what have we got here? Ooh, a bit of dirt, grub. So people, the other thing is too, when you're fishing with fly gear, right, one of the most important things you can have is a stripping basket. Basically, stripping basket is the nickname for a line management system, because what it is, when you cast long distances like 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 feet with shooting heads and that, you've got to have that line laid out somewhere, and having it around your feet can be quite dangerous, you know. So a stripping basket allows you to just have everything at waist height like this, and then you just use that to guide your line out of the basket, if you know where I'm coming from. All right, so come on, you bugger. Hey, Pubby, how are you, bud? What's going on, mate? Welcome to the stream, Pubby. Whoops. Starting to fall over a lot. I'm not happy about that. Right, all the flies that I've brought tonight I've tied myself as well. No imposter syndrome here. Right. King Gene, how are you, bud? What's going on, mate? How are you, King Gene? You behaving yourself? Or you being cheeky bugger? Oh. Yeah, I've bought a variety of different flies tonight, famo. I've bought some Clauser minnows. Clausers are my favourite fly, right? Basically because you can fish the bottom with them. So see that there? What I've got there is, I think I've probably got about 100 flies in there that I've tied myself in a various denominations, blue and whites, white and whites, pearl, lateral line, some with feathers, some with fur, green and white. You got to remember, flies look different in the water too, you know. So Cowboys versus Knights. Nice one, Gene. Who do you support? Thanks, Pubby. Yes, that's why I'm on land and the Sharks are in the water, pub. And they can stay there. Oops. Oi. Cowboys. Oh, okay. When was the last time the Cowboys won the premiership, bud? Long time between drinks. That's when Thurston's was playing for him, wasn't it? Right, now. Hey. I'll just put that on there for a second. $20.15, that's right. It's been a long time between drinks, Gene. It's not good for you. Alright, famo, so... Oh. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the last lure and head combination that caught a fish in this river, which is a black jig head with a chartreuse tail. Now, I don't know whether bio high grade's still in the stream, but what I'll do is I'll show everyone how to do a loop knot. Got to fish with loop knots, people. Loop knots will increase your catch rate by about 40%, okay? So let's just chuck that in there. 4 years, 7 months and 10 days. Thanks for the support, Gene. Right. Now, what line have I got? Time on my side. See, 30-pound line's a bit heavy, but I don't really have a choice. What's that? 4.5, that's 20 pound, that's perfect. Yeah, if we do hook a mulloway tonight, people, it's going to be a beast. I'll give you the tip. Early season, it's usually the big spawners that come in first. So... Okay. So, what I'm going to do now is, it's quite simple. I'm going to cut off this leader, like so. That's not a good sign. I've got a flu coming on, the nose is dripping. Right. Okay, now, I don't know whether this is too bright or whatever, but this is a very, very simple knot that we're going to do now. Okay, so what I normally do is I normally do the loop knot to the lure, or the jig head in this case, before I do the knot to the swivel. So basically what it is, just tie yourself a little granny knot, okay, put that through the eye of the jig head in this case, because we've got a soft plastic, nowhere near it, I'm getting old. I will open the old door flat out. Now, because that's been painted, come on, get through there. Right, what they've done is when they painted this, they covered the eye with paint, so it's a very, very simple fix. I'll show you. So all you do, right, oh wow, to be 27 again, King Gene. Best years of your life, mate. Right. So if you ever get a jig head that's been painted or powder coated and the eye is covered up, just get yourself another hook, right, and just poke the eye out like that. Oops. Right. And what that does is that'll get rid of the paint and the powder coating, so you can get your line in. Yeah, that's a good job there. These are very well made. These are the American made jig heads. I've had absolutely no problems with American made products. If you want quality, buy American or Australian. I did buy some in from Asia and I had to throw out over 600 jig heads because they were faulty, which was very disappointing. But they don't care. Alright, so now what we're going to do is this. Okay, tie the granny knot, which is just basically over like that. Put that through like that. See how it's gone straight through now? So what you do now, famo, the granny knot there, right, get that as small as possible. Get your granny knot as close to the eye of either the lure or the jig head or whatever you're using. Right, put that back through the granny knot like that, boom. And then what you've got is you've got that configuration, okay? So we just get that fairly close again. To get that close, you pull on the tag end, not the granny knot. So, don't make the mistake, a lot of people do, they try and go over before they go under. So once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, whoops, 4, sorry, unraveled, 5, the dreaded live streaming curse, and 7, right? Then what you do is this, okay? You put that back through the middle of the granny knot, like so. That's just an improved clinch knot, okay? And then what you do from there is you bring that through here. Now, the big mistake that people make is they don't try and form their knot, right? So, don't pull it towards the jig head or the lure, pull it away. Because what will happen is if you do that, right, it won't lock the knot in. Now see how I've got the tag end perpendicular to the line? That turned out perfect, right? Okay, and see that even though it's a loop, the loop's not shrinking or anything. Because that's been tied spot on, I will now use that on my rig. If it didn't get tied on spot on, right, you do it again. Always make sure you try and do your knots as perfectly as possible, because at the end of the day, that's the business end that gets you to land your fish, people, okay? All right, that's the important stuff. That's the first time I've tied a good one on that live on stream for a while. Now, remember what I was saying about distance from your swivel to your jig head? Mull away. Yeah, nice one, Gene. That's what you got to do, bud. Lefty's loop, they call it. Now, when it's fishing for mulloway and that sort of stuff, right, I like to leave 50 to 60 centimetres, right? Okay, like so. Hello, baby blue from heaven. How are you, bud? How's life treating you, mate? You well? Hope your partner's well. Hope mum and dad are well as well. Okay? You been well yourself? I'm using well awful lot in that sentence, aren't I? Right. All right, famo. So what I'm going to do now is, right, I use the lures that I import from America, and I use gulps, okay? I do have a few others that I use as well, but in the 3-inch pattern, the Berkeley gulps in the Nemesis work really well. Only criticism, the tails are a bit long, but you would be surprised as to the size of fish that you catch on 3-inch soft plastics, people. You get barra on 4-inch soft plastics anyway. So, what I've got now is, why would I do that? So rigging soft plastics is a game of millimetres, fam, right? So you've got to be quite particular in how you go about it, and you've got to use the tension of the soft plastic when you don't use super glue. Now Berkeley gulps have a special scent on them or something, right? So I guess it's more like a bait than an actual soft plastics, but you can usually tell how well your bait's going to fish by the way it's presented. So see that? That's pretty well spot on. See how we have no error in there? Right, you've got to remember, a lot of your soft plastics, they fish vertically like that. Not like this, not flat, they fish like that, fam, okay? So, whew, it's getting a bit nippy. All right, the river's filling up, which is good. Oh, nice one. Yeah, it's always handy to get good work, isn't it, bud? See how much further that cast then, famo? So with the current conditions, until the water stops moving, if we're still around, right, that's on the bottom. That's beautiful. That's doing better than the little hard body anyway. Glad to hear you're doing well, baby blue. That's awesome. Oh, and with the tides at the moment, famo, the tides aren't very sleep friendly, but that's all right. You know, you just got to do what you got to do. One thing I'm finding really funny in tackle shops nowadays, right? We are very much a technology-driven society, okay? You hear all these people banging on about all these huge fish that they've caught, and you're like, did you get a photo or not? Right, that's because you didn't catch it. Thanks, baby blue. Yeah, I'm doing good, mate. Just a bit busy with work, baby blue. Got a bit on with work, mate. Excuse me. So I got a bit on with work, mate. I should have that sorted this week. So I got a few big plans to sort out. Been doing some home renovations and home handyman streams, baby blue. And yeah, just trying to get that going from there. Excuse me. Now this is a different rod and reel. Oh, they got a million excuses, King Gene, you know. Well, we got that 60 centimetre mulloway last year live on stream. And I mean, when it's live on stream, you know, they can't argue with it, sort of thing. And then you show people the edited live stream and they all get their nose out of joint because it's like, you know, I'll go fishing 20 times and fail and get that one fish. That's all it's about, you know. We should have a cracker of a bream season this year with all this extra water in the river, which is good. Yeah, that's right, Gene. That's exactly right, bud, you know. Time on my side. Sunday night isn't usually the best time to stream in Australia. Monday morning's much better. Oh, mate, some of the excuses you hear, you know, you're like, you just got to laugh it off, Gene. See, this is what I like about live streaming. Live streaming is a challenge, you know. On YouTube, they'll edit it, you know, they'll get 10 hours of footage and edit it down to like 12 to 15 minutes. I don't worry about that. Just turn the camera on, live stream, and whatever happens, happens, mate. You know, you've just got to try and do your best. Trying to produce results. No, Sunday night, Baby Blue. Trying to produce results live on stream is so difficult. But, you know, it's what it's about, isn't it? You've got to, you know, you've got to show people that you've got what it takes to do things a bit differently, you know. Right. Yeah, cheeseburger, that's the, oh, excuse me for a second. I missed a message. Sunday morning, yes. I think the maximum time difference is 14 hours from the west coast to me. I'm not on the east coast of Australia, I'm on the west coast. Yeah, that's the thing, cheeseburger, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like when they bang on about the knots they use, right? And they rock up to the fishing spot with the knots already done. I've lost count of how many times I've done fishing knots live on stream, you know what I mean? The other thing is too, what's the time? 10 to 10. Oh, we've got another 2 hours, people, before the fish are going to come on the bite anyway, so. And these sorts of times with the high tides suit me because everyone's in bed, right? And so only the true die-hard fishers that go out and fish outside the comfort zone, you know? So if we are going to get a fish tonight, it won't be for another 2 hours, okay? Might get another little one a bit earlier, but still got a lot of water coming in this river before they sort of, where we're fishing in this river, they've got to swim past us, right? So, yeah, a lot of the YouTube stuff is sort of, you know, edited and perfect and all the rest of it. No fishing trip is perfect, bud. You know what I mean? No fishing trip is perfect. You're always going to have issues, you know? Oh, really, King Gene? Okay. Well, to do that, mate, just go to Cairns, bud, and get on the big guided tours up there. That'd be one of the few places you could get those 3 species in one day if they knew what they were doing. Although, oh, maybe. Yeah, I mean, you could do that in, is Cairns high enough up for Barra? Not 4i. Thank you very much for resubbing, mate. Thank you very much for your continuous support in watching the streams. And I appreciate the fact that you're supporting us in other ways as well. How have you been, bud? How's Perth? You getting any mulloway up in Perth? There's been a few caught from friends that I've been calling that fish the rivers and that. Bit hit and miss. There's been some big flathead in the Swan River too, fam, if you know where to look. Phew. I reckon they've been getting the blue spot early this year on the spawning run, you know. That's a nice cast. Oh, okay. You're evolving backwards, King Gene. Da 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 da. Yeah, I know the feeling. Not 4i. I haven't live streamed fishing in about 3 months. I think the last live stream I did for fishing was in June. And yeah, I was just getting feral. I've been renovating units since the first week of July. And yeah, I just, you know, when you get a bit stressed, about 95% of the way through and I've spat it. Bopar, how are you, bud? Welcome to the stream, mate. Oh yeah, that's right, not 4i. Bopar, how are you, bud? What do you mean you can chat? I think last time you were in here, mate, trying to guess location, mate. We're not allowed to do that with terms of service. I could get banned for that, mate. And apart from the streamer, it's the least important thing in the stream. Oh, that's right, not 4i. I'm getting really annoyed with some people's self-entitlement, mate. You know, like, you got one or two types, the ones that can't differentiate between, you know, the corporate world and the real world, and the ones that can't really differentiate between uni and the real world, you know. So, yeah, thanks, Bopar. I don't know how we'll go tonight, mate. Still a couple of hours before the fish are going to come on the bite anyway. Last time we were here, we got this big, like, ray in here that was easily about, oh, nearly 5 foot between the wings, you know what I mean? Oh, Bopar, it's not that, mate. It might have been an innocent sort of action on your part, bud, but you got to remember, mate, with social media being an unregulated medium, right, there's quite a few types out there, mate, that don't have sort of much in life, and when they go into a social media platform, they suddenly think they've become someone, right? So you got to be very careful, bud. You know, and the last thing I need is a carload of blokes to come up and then I start punching on like a really bad Jackie Chan movie, you know. So, but like I said, people, we're going to start off on Twitch tonight. Then we're going to go across to YouTube. So please, if I can ask a favour, if you're not already subscribed for free on YouTube, please go across to Australis Fishing on YouTube and Australis TV, right? We are going to do some night fishing streams in here on the Yak before the heat comes in November, December, and bull sharks decide to mate with my leg when it's hanging in the water, you know, because I'll let them. I'm not going to argue one bit, so. That's all right, mate. Just come in and chill out, Bopar. You know what I mean? Our streams are a bit different, mate. We try and get everyone to feel that they're a part of the stream, right? And we don't tend to try and worry about the squeaky wheel, if you know what I'm saying. So if someone comes in and they start banging on, we just go, yeah, see you later. And then we just make sure that everyone's having an enjoyable stream, you know, so. Yeah, that's it, Bopar. So what I've done, initially I've used a hard body lure on the bottom to try and bring the fish in. Then a dolphin came through, and then with that, it quietened off. I had a good bump before on the hard body lure, but I think it might have just been the fish doing a bit of a territorial bump, like, here, get out of me turf, you know, which they do. So, mate, I'm just using soft plastics, Bopar. I'm using a 3/16 ounce jig head. I import lures and soft plastics from America, Bopar. I've got an online shop starting up once I get on top of my work, which is what I said about 3 months ago, right? But work pays my mortgage, and I do this for enjoyment. So, yeah. So I import stuff from the same town as where Z-Man's made from, but this is a private company. So, you know, I just use a 3/16 ounce jig head, but that changes when the water comes a bit clearer and calmer. 1/16 ounce. If it flows quicker, I use, you know, a 1/8 ounce. It just depends, mate. You don't use the same lure and, you know, sort of configuration all the time. You've got to take a range of different jig heads in soft plastics, range of different colours and profiles with your tails and all that sort of stuff, mate. You know, so it's all encompassing, mate. You know what I mean? You never go to the same spot and have the same conditions twice, you know. Let's just have a look what's happened here. I'll go one better, Bopar. I'll show you what I'm throwing, bud. Here you go, mate. So what I'm throwing there is a 3/16 ounce jig head and a little Berkeley Gulp Nemesis in the shad colour, okay? This works really well for brim and flounder and other species in certain rivers in the state, you know. So, yeah, thanks, Bopar. Mate, you got to remember, bud, this is the dolphins' domain. They've been around for thousands of years, right? And, you know, this is where they live, so you got to respect them, mate. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, so many people are brain dead and they don't take into consideration other animals that use waterways and that sort of stuff. You got to remember, mate, we're human beings. We use waterways for enjoyment, whereas fish and dolphins use it for survival. So, you know, and I tell you what, the way people are going nowadays, they'd want to be careful because the government might try and close a lot of things up, mate, and make it like the States and Europe, you know. So, thanks, Bopar. Yeah, just go and subscribe for free on YouTube, mate. We'll be doing a live stream on YouTube in about, what, it's the time now, 9:59. Probably about 10:30 we'll start. Hey, thanks, Cheeseburger. Now, are you referring to the garden? Because the garden's a mess, mate. It's now a weed garden with a few veggies amongst it. I got that annoyed yesterday. I left work and went and weeded all the garlic. I got to do all the silver beet and the rhubarb and everything. It's just a total embarrassment, mate, you know. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a technique that works really well for perch in the southwest of the state. When you cast out, right, you cast out, let it hit the bottom, and then you just put your rod down. Right, go and do something for 2 or 3 minutes and come back. Hey, 2 Pints, how are you, bud? Oh boy, thank you very much for your support. Thanks for watching all the content on YouTube as well. And thanks for going above and beyond with your support tonight. How are you, mate? How's the foot, mate? Every time I think of that photo you sent me on Discord with that bone that came out of your foot, I just feel like throwing up. He's tough. Thank you very much, everyone. 5,366 subscribers on YouTube. Greatly appreciated. Thank you very, very much for that. Yeah, that was prior to working Cheeseburger. I grow a lot of my own food, bud, right? And, oh, mate, how'd it come up? Yeah, so I do a lot of, you know, I raise my own seedlings live on stream. We've got 12 chickens that lay eggs, and I use the chicken manure for fertiliser Cheeseburger. I'm of Southern European descent, mate, so I got taught how to garden using the cycle, which is what gardening is and all the rest of it, by family over the years, and I've just kept up the tradition, mate. I mean, I've got garlic that's nearly up to my hip, you know what I mean? It's just fantastic, so... that smoke from that bushfire is not good. So what's the X-ray result? 2 points? What's that showing? I've got some spots down south which we're going to go and fish freshwater, and the mosquitoes are that big, they sound like little planes, and you hear it's like and while they're in the air it's good, and then you hear this and someone goes, oh, that hurt, you know. So time on my side. It's not that hard, Cheeseburger, but this is a problem, mate. You got to remember, bud, I was born in 1970, right? So things back in the 70s were a lot different now. So I remember Coles in the mid 80s were, and everyone had a huge, you know what I mean? So nowadays, you know, so basically in the old days, Cheeseburger, when you grew your own food and all that sort of stuff, there were certain things that you couldn't get at certain times of the year, which wasn't such a bad thing because that's how nature worked, you know. But now with transport, you know, and trade agreements and all that sort of stuff, what happened there? My phone just flipped out, went to Rob CD stream. Why would it do that? Oh dear. Oh, 2 points. I'm sorry to hear you going through that, mate. So yeah, with that Cheeseburger, your chickens are the best creature to have in a garden, especially if you live in suburbia, because they're the only animal that can provide you with protein, and then you can still eat the carcass, if you know what I mean. So that's like eggs and all the rest of the stuff, right? The other thing is too, chickens and pigs, is it chickens and pigs? I think it's chickens and pigs. They're, no, it's just chickens, birds, yeah. They're, like feces is that acidic. If they eat a seed, it'll get dissolved in their stomach. So when they eat and then they excrete, it's like clean, if you know what I mean. So, you know, they're a very underrated animal. I mean, if you've got a ton of beef in the paddock and you've got a ton of chickens, the chickens will wipe out the paddock quicker than the beef, you know what I mean? That's how they work, so. All right, and yeah, then you just use the chicken manure to put in the garden, and you just, you know, you can trap your own seeds, grow your own seedlings, and I just show people how to garden, mate. So two things I've always done pretty well growing up is gardening and fishing, bud. They're about the only things that I know my stuff on. So that's what I pass my knowledge on, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's it. All right, famo, so what I'm going to do, right, is I'm going to throw out a raid to another Twitch streamer, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go across to YouTube and live stream, okay? So please come across to YouTube. We should be live in about 5 or 10 minutes if YouTube isn't being difficult, right? And then what we'll do is we'll just go and, you know, work from there. And mark my words, right? YouTube is the future of live streaming, fam. Mark my words on that, okay? So, all right, thanks for the follow, Bopar. Now, let's throw out the raid. Let's see who's on. Okay. Oh, good man. All right, people, we're going to go and throw a raid out now. And then we're going to go to YouTube. So come across to YouTube, okay? Cheeseburger, that's not really dependent on, you know, the vegetable and that. It depends on your soil, your knowledge base, but we can deal with that on the YouTube stream. All right, people, we're going to go and throw a raid out to someone who has supported the stream for a long time. Right. This person is a fantastic streamer who streams World of Warships. So let's go and raid TC Freer, and then straight after that I'm going to fire up YouTube. So come across to YouTube, and I can promise you that the picture on YouTube is fantastic. Not as good chat, obviously, but it's all good on YouTube. All right, let's go across, and I'll see you soon. Dun, 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 dun.